change of government effectively, and they're going to carry on with it. What's going on?
You know, I spoke to Chris Grayling last week. We went, we paid the money to get in to do a fringe at Tory conference, and I went to his fringe, and the only bone of contention that there was amongst the Tory party members in that meeting was HS2. I was going to collar him about it. There were 5 people. I was the 5th one to get onto him.
Yeah.
There were. It was the only thing that people were bothered about, and I called him at the end. And I was really disappointed because he said, "Oh well, no, I've always supported HS2." And I said, "Well, you originally put this forward as an alternative to a third runway at Heathrow." He said, "Oh no, it was long before that." And you know what? And he walked off at that point. And I've dug out the quote right from the Independent in 2009, where he says, you know, a high-speed rail line connecting London, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham to Heathrow and Paris and Brussels is our alternative to a third runway at Heathrow. That was his original reasoning for it. And he's saying the case is stronger than ever. Chris doesn't go to Heathrow anymore, doesn't go to the Channel Tunnel anymore.
No, they've cut it. You're right. You know,
your original justification for it is gone. And you'll still say, oh, case is as strong as ever. We need it more than ever. No, you don't. Because the entire justification for it that you had at the start, you know, there was an all-parliamentary group for high-speed rail, and it was because that was the alternative to a third runway at Heathrow, because there are loads of marginal constituencies around Heathrow, so none of the MPs in the constituencies near it wanted the third runway, because they all thought, well, if my party does it in power, I'm losing my seat. And what's happened? Oh, well, we can't afford the link to Heathrow, we can't afford the link to HS1, and you think, well, hang on, we're having a continental gauge railway, shall we join it up to the other one? You know, we're only paying 60 billion quid for it. Shall we build it up to the other one, or shall we just leave it half a mile short? No, let's leave it half a mile short. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? You know, everyone, you know, rockets down from Manchester to Euston, and then dredges across the Euston Road to get to St Pancras to take on the. You know, and the worst thing, there are still politicians there who are saying this. Oh, you know, well, you'll be able to get on a train from Leeds and go to Lille or Manchester to Munich. You know, it's all. You know,
why do you think
Birmingham to Brussels?
I understand, Joe.
No, you won't. And they don't realise this.
Joe, why do you think they just won't give up? Because it hasn't got public support either, has it? Why aren't they giving up on it? And as I say, because of what happened with Cameron and Osborne, there was the perfect get-out clause there, wasn't there? Why did they not take that up, in your opinion?
You know what? I think that Grayling, because he was saying that he supported it, before that, he made that statement in 2009, there is only one reason that he would have supported it before then, because, you know, Lord Adonis sort of proposed it in 2010. There was the old parliamentary group a bit before that, but before that, there was only one driving force for high-speed rail, the industry. Strong lobbying from the vested interests that will make the money out of it. And you go all the way back to 2006, Rod Eddington, and it's Simon Jenkins actually printed it in The Guardian today, which, you know, it's one of the things that we've been saying for years and years and years, and it's finally actually got into the mainstream media today, was the Eddington report in 2006. So Rod Eddington did this study for the Department for Transport, and he said, you know, there hasn't been any analysis of what's best for Britain's transport infrastructure. It's just someone's decided high-speed rail, and it's down to strong lobbying from advocates, i.e. the people who are going to make the bloody money out of building it. Basically, the industry has told us, oh, you know what you need? You need us to build you a high-speed railway. And you've got a bunch of idiot politicians who said, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. No better example is you've got this lobbying group called the High Speed Rail Industry Leaders Group, and they're all saying, oh, it's going to mean loads of British jobs. You know, there'll be British jobs that are building it, there'll be British jobs building the trains, and then you look at the firms that are lobbying for it. Bechtel, American, Siemens, German, Skanska, Scandinavian, and they're all foreign companies.
No. But there will undoubtedly be jobs in the construction industry, Joe. You can't deny that. And there's already jobs.
Well,
I mean, hang on a minute, please. I was speaking to Adam, one of my listeners who owns Peer Recruitment in Cardiff. He's already putting people into these places. People are already working on it. So come on, let's be fair. You've got my support, but let's be fair. It will create jobs whilst it's being constructed.
Well, it will stop the people who are building Crossrail at the moment becoming redundant, more likely. And you look at Crossrail. Crossrail is a perfect example. If you work for Transport for London on the Crossrail project, you're probably British. If you work for Crossrail Limited, you're probably a foreign national. And that's
what do you base that on? Just tell me
how
you base that. How you can't interest in it. Go on.
That's basically what we're getting out of the rail industry. I've got no statistical basis for saying that. I've just been told that by people I trust within the rail industry.
Oh, okay.
And that makes sense because you've got a couple of Spanish firms that are involved in some of the head leases.
Okay, so are you giving up there? I mean, is there nearly at the point now where it's unstoppable?
Nearly, yeah. They were saying that they'd have royal assent originally by before the last election. They're still until yesterday saying it'd be the end of the year. It now looking like February, March maybe, and we're just pulling out the plugs. That's why we did the fringe at the Tory conference. We've done a briefing document that's going to go to all the Lords and MPs, and unfortunately, no one seems to be seeing any sense on this. And the problem is that HS2 has got the worst thing you can have in a parliamentary democracy. It's got cross-party support. So when you have, the Public Accounts Committee or the Treasury Select Committee or whoever come out and criticise it based on the facts, no one actually picks that up and uses it, apart from groups like us, like Stop HS2 and some of the other bodies that have looked at it. And because you haven't got, Labour scrutinising it, or the Lib Dems scrutinising it, or even, the bloody SNP scrutinising it in Parliament, they've been able to get away with it. And that's
so there's no effective opposition. It's a bit like the EU question, isn't it? The majority of MPs, it's a fact, wanted to be Remainers. And I would hazard a guess now that's why we're getting this delay. And it's a similar thing with HS2. It's cross-party. There isn't one opposition. Well, the only people who opposed it, and of course they changed their minds, was UKIP. They're the only political party who are anti it, aren't they?
It's got the Greens as well.
Yeah, I know, but I mean a party that's got membership. Yeah, go on then. So what are you going to do then? Have you still got hope that you can turn this round?
We still got hope. To be perfectly honest, John, the only thing that is going to blow this apart now is if there is another leak that comes out of the Treasury, because a couple of years ago, when they were saying HS2 was going to cost 43 billion, a leak came out of the Treasury saying it was going to be 78. Now the official cost is 56. If you believe what the National Audit Office say, and when it comes to cost of public money, spending public money, you tend to trust the auditors in terms of they're generally a bit cautious. They're saying that it's 63 billion. So if you apply the same sort of increment, the Treasury are probably working on 100 already, and that's before a single track has been laid. So you've already the official cost has already doubled. Realistically, you're probably looking at 100 billion from a 30 billion starting price, and it will be more than that. It will definitely be more than that, because there are bits of the route that cannot be built. They cannot be built where they proposed it because the ground is unstable.
And also there'll be no need for it, will there? By the time it's actually built, there'll definitely be no need. There's hardly any need for it now. When you look at the acceleration and the escalation of mobile phone usage, and the fact we've all got a computer in our pocket, there's just no need anymore. There's no need for what they're trying to do. I mean, my mate David, who's the human rights lawyer here, he said, he went up to Durham, Edinburgh the other week. He said it only takes 4 hours. You know, in the old days, you think, it'll be like 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours. It's minimal amount of time now because the Pendolinos, they do 125 miles an hour when they're going. I know there's problems with the toilets, but they do work. And if we put the money into that infrastructure, it's there. But now, so often, you don't need to go to a meeting. I was talking to a woman yesterday in New York and a guy in Tampa. We're all just on a conference call. I could have had it on Skype or I could have had it on FaceTime. When I was in Goa, in India, I spoke to my girls every single night and saw their faces, and it cost me nothing. So why do I need a faster train? Answer, I don't.
Exactly. Like, you want to rebalance the economy. You want to develop the economies of the Midlands and the North. I've got an idea. Why don't you make jobs where people actually live?
Somebody said this the other day. Yeah, I'll tell you who it was Snowflake. Anthony, he said, it's going to cost something like 4 billion quid or something to refurbish Parliament and put them up temporarily because, they've got to replace the Palace of Westminster. Yeah. It's got to be repaired. He said, why don't they just move it to Birmingham or Coventry or Manchester for a bit? And actually, I think that would do our democracy no end of good. And I said to him, we should also move a lot of the civil service jobs. I know a few have come to Coventry already. But why aren't we putting those jobs in Hull and places like that? Because they no longer have to be geographically located in the capital, do they? That would just seem to be the way to stimulate growth in places that have got problems at the moment with jobs. And they bring different sorts of people into different areas. But they don't think like that, do they? They get a grandiose project, and despite everything, Joe, they're going to steam ahead, pardon the pun, they're going to steam ahead with it. And it's just so blatantly wrong.
Well, that's it. Could you possibly imagine MPs and civil servants taken away from, the National Gallery and the Opera House and all of that stuff? They're never going to give London up. That's just not going to happen. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying we know that is never going to happen because they won't give up London. And that's the point. It's all about London. And HS2 is all about London.
Yeah, it's about getting people into London. You're right. Good talking to you, Joe. Good luck with you. I just can't see the point in HS2. We had a poll on it the other day. The majority of you agree with me.